What up, y'all? It's TTR, and today we're going to be talking about two Mega Evolutions that I'm going to theorize might appear in Pokemon Legends Z. And now, this is supposed to be an absurd thought, so I want y'all to come along and I'll explain it. Now, this is something that I've actually talked about like a few weeks ago when I was explaining what the origin to Mega Evolutions were. You don't got to watch that video to understand this. We're going to focus on Charizard. So, it starts like this. Legends Z is coming out, and one of Pokemon's most popular Pokemon is Charizard. I was saying in that video that Charizard is so popular. The theory went something along the lines of explaining why when you look at Mega Stones, they show off the Mega Evolution within them, like potential was stored in them to give Charizard those Mega Evolutions. So the theory I said is that Mega Evolutions were actually imprinted by trainers long ago. So they belong to older Charizards that through their bond with their trainer triggered these Mega Evolutions for the first time. And so that potential is stored so they can re-tap into it. So when we're Mega Evolving Charizard, we're using older trainers' imprinted Mega Stones. And so in the same way that the majority of trainers found two different forms for Charizard, that there could be more. I hope I didn't complicate that. It's actually a very sound idea. That brought me to the idea saying that they don't have to just be X and Y Mega Stones. For one specific case like Charizard, they could actually ramp up the numbers and really show multiple ways Charizard was used back in the day and introduce stuff like the Charizardite W and the Charizardite V. That while it sounds crazy at first, you can imagine Game Freak doing something like that. And so I started the last two videos talking about a counterpart to the current Blastoise and Venusaur. Now we're going to talk about how they would go about Charizard. Because Charizard is one of their most popular Pokemon, they will bank if they just make two more Mega Evolutions for it. And you gotta think, I'm not talking about what we want as fans. Of course, there's been so much Charizard. 2 Megas, the G-Max. You gotta think of this in Game Freak's shoes. And because Legends ZA is this game they're taking a long time before they put out, they're gonna want a nostalgia bait and use any method possible to help rack up attention and sales towards that game. So introducing these two other Mega Evolutions for Charizard with a different or maybe classical take would be something they would want to do and show off in the hype season. So I'm just predicting that here. Could you imagine a new Venusaur Mega, a new Blastoise Mega, and 2 new Charizard Megas? That would bait people so well. It's just my opinion, but I can practically see them already doing it. They're working on it right now. Just wait for those trailers to come out. Alright, so let's go with the 2 Charizard Megas that I'm going to talk about in this video. So I'm going to follow a similar system to what we currently have for Charizard. We have kind of the conventional path forward and then the unorthodox path, the Black Charizard. So for V and W, I'm gonna instill that same system where one is traditional, one is unusual. So Charizardite V, we're gonna talk about first. That's the traditional one. The idea for this is that Charizard, when it Mega Evolves, it will lose a typing. It's going to lose its wings, its body's gonna become a darker shade of red, its claws are gonna become bigger, and it's gonna become a grounded creature that's very savage. And that's gonna be what Mega Charizard V is gonna be. And it's gonna be pure fire. The idea behind this is to take Charizard and make it tap more into what it started off as a Charmander and a Charmeleon. Here's Charmeleon here, right? Dude, this is actually hypnotic. If you stare at this long enough, you could just straight up see a adolescent Charizard. I know that's the point, but it's freaking hypnotizing. So the idea here is to make a Mega Charizard that's more inspired by taking Charizard to Charmeleon roots. This is another topic for another video, but another way Game Freak could bring life into this idea is if Charmander is actually one of the starters for Legends ZA. And so instead of making it a Mega Evolution, they straight up evolve Charmeleon into a Charizard that doesn't get the wings. But yeah, that's just something I wanted to point out. We'll focus back on the Mega Evolution. It could even be a Pokemon that's on all fours and its tail comes up and around and hangs over its body and be a full-on lizard, right? That's what Charmander is at the end of the day. It would be Charizard putting all its eggs into just being a fire type. And so the ability it would get would be with fire at its focus. So something like whenever this Mega Charizard uses a fire move, its speed goes up by 1. And the point is, as Charizard and all, they use fire moves, their tail lights up more. And so this would be converted into an ability where this Charizard that's savagely on the ground, as it uses fire moves more and more, it just gets faster and faster. So that's Mega Charizard V. And now to talk about W. There's an interesting idea I have for this. You might be thinking, what is one last way, one last path we could evolve Charizard? We have the conventional, we have the weird anomalous black, and then we have the one where it regresses in a sense and is more like a Charmeleon. What is the last thing we can do? Here's the idea I'm gonna give you. So Charizard and its family, you know this from the anime too, and I just mentioned the previous example, their tail is very important to them. When it's going out, that means the Charmander, the Charizard, they're dying. And when it's shining brightly, that means they're very healthy. Another thing that happens with this tail that we just mentioned earlier is that when it's using fire moves and fighting, it actually grows brighter. Kind of is like a heartbeat, right? The fire is like an indicator of its willpower. And something real interesting about the Charizard family is that if Charmander and its family really push themselves and are passionately fighting, that fire at the tip of their tail can start to glow a lightish blue color. Look at this entry all the way from 1999, Pokemon Gold. If Charizard becomes furious, the flame at the tip of its tail flares up in a whitish blue color. You never see this. When they made Mega Charizard X, they actually made a direct reference to this when they made Charizard tap into that inverted look with blue flames this time, which means Charizard is fighting very furiously now. But it spans even earlier, not just 1999, 1998 with Pokemon Yellow. This is Charmeleon's Pokedex entry. Tough fights could excite this Pokemon. When excited, it may blow out bluish white flames. And so I'm gonna explain why Game Freak did this. Did they know they would make Mega Charizard X? That came like 15 years later. The reason for this is a simple science lesson, right? You got red flames. What's hotter than red flames is orange flames. What's hotter than orange flames is yellow flames. After yellow, if you go even hotter, it's blue flames. That's the reason they wrote this. And you can actually get a bit lighter to white flames, and that is the most hottest flames possible. It's because of an understanding of fires working like this that they put that tidbit that if you really piss off the Charizard family, their willpower in a sense would grow so strong that when you see how its tail reflects that, it's starting to glow the blue hot flames and even leaning towards that whitish part. And this is the idea I want to land on for our final Mega Charizard, Mega Charizard W. I want it to be a counterpart anomaly to Mega Charizard X. So we got these two, Charmeleon and Y, who'd be a counterpart, and now we're gonna have this as a counterpart to the Mega Charizard X, where it's going to start having not lightish blue flames, but straight up white flames. Red flames are around 500 degrees Celsius. When you get to the blue flames, it's around 1,200 degrees Celsius. The white flames are after that, but they can go up to 3,000 degrees Celsius. That's what I want our goon here to tap into. So first thing here is I'm not saying this one is going to be superior to the blue flame Charizard. It would just be much less defensive and going all out. So it would be sacrificing a lot more of its defenses to reach that extremely hot temperature of white flames. And in the same way, Mega Charizard X, in the process of doing this, it inverted its color scheme. This one is gonna have a whole different color scheme as well. Now, we're not gonna be able to use black. And the reason for this is because Game Freak's gonna wanna market this Pokemon so much. A Charizard with white flames, they don't wanna confuse it for the black Charizard with blue flames. So we're gonna have to come up with the design that's very marketable for Charizard here. And there's not many colors that contrast white well. I could only really think of one idea the more I try to conjure up one, and it's making it a golden Charizard. A very gold and bright Charizard with this white flame, which would create an anomalous form where this one looks freaking demonic and this one would look, what's the word? Not holy, because it's a Charizard, you're gonna smack your ass. The word I'm looking for is serene. So I just colored a normal Charizard with this because I want to convey the color scheme. I can't design a whole Mega Charizard, but this is that gold and white that I have in my mind. So its body's gonna look so vibrant, its tail's gonna be this bright white, and then also made the underside of its wings right. And so it's gonna be a full-on polar opposite to Mega Charizard X, which is gonna be this black color, even though those are the two anomaly Mega Evolutions. Even within being an anomaly, I try to make them counterparts of each other. This one is very difficult to figure out what typing we could make this. You might even say freaking fire fairy because we're going with this angelic look, but that doesn't fit Charizard. Dude can't become a fairy type. It does seem like you're just gonna have to make him like fire dragon again. There's no way you would say it's so ethereal the way it's triggered this transformation that it's actually fire ghost. I suppose fire ghost is not a bad idea. I'm just looking at all the typings. None of them is really making sense here. We can't make it pure fire because that's already with the Charmeleon idea. Fire dragon again could work, and it's probably the second best idea. Fire dragon or fire ghost would be the best ideas, and this thing would get a lot more flames extending throughout its body. Its wings might even have flames on them, and remember its stats, they would be pure ass. Its defenses and all would make it so it dies in like 1 hit or 2 hits, and it would get an ability something like anytime Charizard deals a fire move, it always burns the enemy. And I know that's mad overpowered, but what do you expect of this blue flame man? So that means you Mega Evolve this, you use flamethrower, 100% burn rate. Or you could really sell this thing being a far too gone overpowered Mega Evolution by making it so it has an ability like Hustle, where its special attack skyrockets, but it's permanently got effed up accuracy. That's what Hustle does. Your accuracy just by default is like 80%. So it's almost a show. Yeah, Charizard tapped into something this strong, but I can't see perfectly straight. Either way, now we have the 4 holy horsemen of Charizard. Think about how little you know about Pokemon Legends EA. Think about how much as you pretend to hate Charizard, which makes no sense, that you would not love to see something like this in the hype season. Again, you don't gotta love Charizard to know an idea like this is super beneficial to Game Freak, and that's why I'm trying to predict it here, formulate my thoughts. Y'all let me know your ideas. If you could make 2 different Mega Evolutions for Charizard in this game, oh, how did we get down this path, bro? My theories, they just build on each other and we end up in weird locations. This is all because of that Megastone theory I made. But yeah, let me know ideas for Mega Charizards that you have that could be better than the 2 I said here. And last thing to note is, if they wanted to play around, since we don't know why they're called X and Y Megastones, they don't seem to be chromosome related or related to Xerneas and Yveltal. It just seems like they're named based off the games for some weird reason. You could have these 2 Charizards actually be the Charizardite A and the Charizardite Z in this game instead of V and W. So I guess the Charizardite A would be the Charmeleon looking one, and then the Charizardite Z would be this freaking white flamed Zenith Charizard. Y'all let me know your thoughts. Shank that like button. Don't say no, Charizard doesn't deserve more Megas. We all know this. You don't got a creative opinion by saying don't do Charizard. Try to think outside the box. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.